Oh, seven commanders. My name is Commander Wyl Fearion, leader of the Vortex Squadron. And you know what time it is? What time is it, Kai? I want to see what you say this week.
It is time to go in hot. Technically going in hot, but
You're definitely going in hot. And that's awesome. So we're going to get into that. We got a lot to talk about today. There's some new news at Frontier that's hot off the press. And then we got
really hot off the press.
Super hot. And then we've got we got a new Rhino thing coming, and we got an event going on in Colonia. We got all kinds of things. And so Kai, take her away. What do you got for us today?
So first thing I want to open up with is, of course, a little more gameplay related. The Colonia CGs, all 4 of them have completed with a minimal tier 1 threshold completed on those that were multi-tiered, and the all tiers completed on those that were just tier 1. Be sure to extract your cargo racks from the location. If you were like me and you left Colonia because you didn't feel like sticking around after you completed your contribution to the CGs, transfer your cargo racks over. It is a 71-hour transfer period, but still only the default 100 credits because it's a pre-engineered event rewarded item. So not credit expensive, just time expensive. It will be, for me, I began the transfer period about 30 minutes ago, so I'm not getting it back until Monday evening, my time. So but that's good. I don't need them immediately anyway. It's just nice to have additional pre-engineered racks. Good rewards for that event. Just as always, I kind of hope with the next hauling event, they maybe put a little bit more consideration in the fact that, hey, you're going to get thousands of people participating in this event with their carriers. Just be aware of that.
And the other thing is that all the sweaty truckers come too. So
yes
they get in there and overhaul like they think it's like, they think it's a competition. They want their name on the top of the list, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And they'll fill up the whole thing before anybody else gets there.
Yeah, I actually did miss the first CG completed literally 2 hours after I arrived in system in Colonia. And so just to kind of give the chat, like anyone in the chat, we're all working Joes. We all have busy kind of like lives throughout the week. By the time, we're talking about 10 hours, 12 hours after the event went live.
Yeah.
I had already begun heading out there. I reached there in about like 2 hours, casually neutron jumping in the Caspian, and the event still completed before I was able to contribute to that first one I completed.
Yeah,
that was way too low, a threshold on that first one. And then they had way too high a threshold on the one that was for the medium landing pad. So that was
they could have flipped those. That would have been okay.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to get that, to be quite honest. That 45 million contribution one, I didn't think that was going to complete by the end, but they just barely crossed the finish line on the same day. So
I just don't understand why they would jerk with us on a celebration event. They're like, what the hell?
Every time, man. Every time. But hey, man, got my pre-engineered racks, 3 out of the 4 at least. I'm a happy camper. So yeah, remember chat, absolutely, dear viewer, just make sure you transfer them over. Don't forget them there.
You can.
Yeah, in the meantime, you can, but I don't recommend it. So
I
you guys start transferring them now.
Shit out there. Yeah.
Start transferring them now if you have to. It's a wait. So, the next thing is there was a very, very new recent announcement that came out of Frontier.
What?
It hasn't even hit their Twitter account yet as of us recording this. This is super fresh, right off their website under the news section. But Frontier Developments welcomes the experienced new Chief Marketing Officer. Frontier Developments are pleased to announce the appointment of Dan Lazarides as Chief Marketing Officer. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I assume that is how it's pronounced. Dan will join the studio's executive board and lead Frontier's publishing and commercial teams across all current and upcoming projects, reinforcing Frontier's player-first approach.
What?
Lazarides joins,
when did that happen?
I know. I don't know. That's news to me.
When are they going to start implementing that?
Player-first approach? Like, you mean like a monthly
live stream?
True. a monthly live stream, a poll maybe every couple of months asking us how we feel about the game and
How
where it's
about
at.
rewards when we fly 22,000 light years?
So, but do have high hopes for this guy simply because of his pedigree, which we're going to get into now. Lazaridis joins Frontier following over a decade of experience leading marketing teams within games from, I think they meant within the games industry, kind of weirdly typed out there, but from agency experience at Edelman and MNC Sachi to his most recent position as, and I'll be honest, whoever wrote this, you should not have mentioned Edelman and MNC. I would not have mentioned that. I would have just gone into literally his very next position he had. That's a little more brand recognizable. But to his most recent position as senior vice president of marketing at Sega Europe. You see, that's a much more relevant position. She should have led with that, not with Edelman and MNC. Go lead with
Sega.
that. Lead with the Sega Europe position, where he has spent 7 years overseeing globally recognizable IPs from, they say IP, but I think it's supposed to be an S, from both Western and Japanese teams. I really don't want to become Drew Wagar here, but I'm starting to understand why he makes fun of like the English, the grammar in a lot of these news announcements. Please, somebody hit F7 like a little bit more periodically when you're typing these out. The typos are like, I don't know, man. It's just starting to affect me now.
What, Chat GPT doesn't do it good?
I hope that's not what they're using. This most recent appointment also saw Lazaridis define Sega's publishing strategy for the studios, and this is what's really interesting and relevant: strategy and simulation portfolio. So, if anyone here has been playing anything else besides Frontier for the last 10 years, Sega actually has quite a large strategy and simulation portfolio. One of the many IPs they own underneath it is quite familiar to, I'm sure, many of the old heads present and that are listening, but it's a little game series, a little IP called Total War. So the Total War games, I think since Rome, I want to say Total War Rome 1, they have been published. The publishing company has been Sega. Sega has owned the IP, the IP rights to the distribution and development of Total War games, and those have been incredibly popular over the last few years. Huge brand because of the Total War Warhammer games in particular. So Total War Warhammer 1, 2, and 3 are absolutely gigantic games. Total War Rome 2 was also had a rocky start when it first came out years back, but it became, through patches and expansions, very well received amongst the community, very vibrant modding community. And of course, a new Total War game is in development, and a new Total War Warhammer 40,000 game is also in development. So just a really awesome year for Sega, and that's just one particular IP, by the way, under that portfolio. So Sega has quite the large and quite the profitable strategy and simulation portfolio, and I do enjoy those games. I do love the Total War Warhammer fantasy games. I do love Warhammer 40K strategy games in general, and I'm very much looking forward to Total War Warhammer 40K. So if he was if he was the senior vice president of marketing at Sega Europe for that, boy, those trailers and those advertisements over the past 7 years certainly got me to buy a couple of those games. I'm a couple hundred hours into them. So that's good. And those games have excellent communication with their communities. They have a good track record with patches, adjustments, and kind of organizing community tournaments, things like that. Like really vibrant communities that they have kind of kept together. Very good marketing that they've had. So if he comes from that background, that's an awesome win for Frontier. So continuing on, in those 7 years, he also spent overseeing the strategy simulation portfolio. He also oversaw, marketing for both Western and Japanese teams in their games. That experience will provide continued drive to Frontier's creative management simulation strategy and / portfolio. So he's going to be having a particular focus in the CMS division of Frontier. That is all of the games that everyone who plays Elite hates. So the Planet Tycoon games, the all the Tycoon games actually. I think Tropico is one of those.
Mm.
And which I like. I like those games, by the way, Frontier. I enjoy them. I haven't gotten the new Jurassic Park World yet, but I probably will pick it up when it's on sale. So they have interesting kind of like, creative management sim games. But what's cool about the CMS division within Frontier is that actually part of that dev team is very clearly used on Frontier's backend for the BGS, Powerplay BGS, Trailblazers, Colonization, all of that stuff is CMS. That is a whole creative management simulation system within Elite Dangerous. So him having this portfolio, that background, him transitioning into that role, overseeing that division within the company as well, we could see an increase in that emphasis for content within Elite. You have to look at how these things connect. This is an executive in the company. They're going to be talking about things they can do for Elite, things that people might like, things the gamers are going to like, things the fans are going to like, but things that are also going to turn some kind of profit. So I actually like that we have somebody coming into the company that has this strategy and simulation game background specifically. They work with dev teams, they get it, they get what people like about it, heavily involved with marketing. I think that's good. This guy has one absolutely crazy pedigree. We haven't even gotten into the rest of what he was doing before Sega. Previous to Sega, he spent 6 years at Bethesda Softworks during the good years. During the good years, guys. Don't torches down during the good years. So he was the head of brand Europe for Bethesda, covering titles such as Fallout, pre-Fallout 4, I think, and the Elder Scrolls. So that's probably Elder Scrolls 5. Actually, he might have been Fallout 4 too. But hey, man, he headed up brand Europe. So if you saw a trailer, if you saw an advertising campaign, IRL or online somewhere, he was a part of that. Now, unfortunately, no one's pedigree is perfect. Sorry, sorry, Dan, but he was also the global business director for Arcade Studios, covering the Deathloop and Dishonored 2 arc of Arcane. I love Arcane, but man, Dishonored 2 was a hit and miss game, and Deathloop especially was a hit and miss, mostly miss. So not everything can be perfect, but I do love a lot of that background that he has. I think this is a good acquisition. I think he's going to be a good fit for the company. He was obviously selected because they had a vacancy in the CMO position because it was held previously by the current CEO, Joe Cook. I think he's a solid acquisition. We will see. And he is currently heading up the marketing, brand recognition, and kind of like and looks like the comms focus for fiscal year 2027, including the launch of Planet Zoo 2. So he is quite the illustrious track record. So hopefully this is a good sign of things to come on the communication side, on the marketing side. And these things are important so that we can get more stuff out, get more word out about how cool the game is, get more people playing it. More people playing it means more content to develop for it, right? It means a bigger budget to allocate to the game because it's pulling these numbers, it's pulling its attention, it's pulling these sales and microtransactions. So hopefully we see that. This is a good sign, possibly. To, I guess, quote Dan Lazarides, he left a comment regarding him joining Frontier.
He did.
Quote, "For more than 30 years, Frontier has been a constant presence throughout my life as a player. So I'm thrilled to finally join such a talented team crafting world-class creative management simulation games," see what I told you guys, "alongside genre-defining franchises such as Elite." Everyone here just squeed, Elite was mentioned. Big deal, big news. What has always distinguished Frontier is the creativity its games unlock in players and the passionate communities that grow around them. I'm excited to build on those strengths with a publishing approach that deepens the relationship between our games and their audience, broadens their global reach, and supports the long-term growth of Frontier's exceptional portfolio. I like that other part of the sentence, broadens the global reach. Elite Dangerous has been in a very awkward place, I feel, especially as a slightly newer player to the game, where it had such a strong start in the beginning, millions of people paying attention to it, watching videos,
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people playing it every day, and to be where it is now. And I think a lot of that has to do with not approaching influencers in the correct way, not having sponsored streams, with like large content creators, large influencers on stream or Twitch. Things you just kind of get. The game really does sell itself to its audience, and a lot of people that I know, especially a lot of Zoomers that I brought into the game, and kind of showed them the game, they just had no idea the game existed. And this is something that they've always wanted, but they could never find. I can't tell you how
Kind of
many
like a
times I've heard.
girlfriend for most of them.
Yeah, probably. But I kind of hear a lot. It's like, man, I wish I could play something like Eve Online, but I could actually fly the ship, like actually fly. and
Yeah,
control
that's
the ship,
the
right?
one thing I don't like about Eve is you just kind of
Yeah,
point it and you kind of tell it where to go and it just flies through all these gates and stuff and you're like, that just doesn't feel right to me. I want to
yeah. It
I want to
doesn't.
drive the thing,
And that's what a lot of them want out of a space sim game, and then it has always existed for over a decade. They just never knew it existed, and that is a failure on marketing. It is a failure on brand awareness. That's a failure on communication on Frontier, 100%, and it has been for over a decade. So
Yeah, they haven't
I'm
figured us
hoping
out yet.
I'm hoping with Dan Lazzarati's inclusion, he seems to have a very, very wide pedigree, very, very illustrious pedigree from a lot of these companies. Sega, Bethesda, years and years with them as well. I overseeing some very, very high profile projects and IPs. I'm hoping he can bring some of that magic maybe to Elite,
Maybe.
and to
We'll see
Frontier.
how long he
That's-
lasts.
So man, I'll tell you, man, if he could turn around the appearance and the optics of the Warhammer 40K Chaos Gate games, then man, he'll accomplish the impossible.
That's
So,
there's a lot to work on. He's got his work cut out for him.
yeah. So good luck, Dan. Best of luck, buddy.
Good luck, Dan.
Yeah, it's welcome out of the fire and straight into the oven, as they say, right? So
Frying pan.
I think the oven in this case.
Okay, well, it's as long as it's like a kiln.
Yeah. It's
High temperature oven.
yeah, definitely high temperature. Already on, we're already above 550 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah,
it's up there. Welcome to Elite, buddy.
Now the next thing is we're moving into, of course, is the big news, which would be the actual big news of this week, the big reveal. More positive news, which is the announcement and release of. Frontier's not calling it, but I'm going to call it this because it just makes more sense. The new SRV that they released, but I think they should really call it an SMV for surface mining vehicle, or a heavy SRV, like some combination of those words. But we have a new SRV. HRV maybe, yeah, or HMV, right? Heavy mining vehicle. But
sure.
Regardless, we have a new SRV officially. This is the first of 2 vessels that are being developed and released for the summer period of 2026 per the roadmap. And this is the Rhino SRV. Which is a incredibly big boy. Based on estimates, we're looking at like what the male character seen in the concept art in an Artemis suit. So the wheels are about 6 feet high alone. So we're looking at something that's maybe 18 feet off the ground total. It's a big boy. This is a big, chunky boy. This is a big chungus. So. I guess the first place to start would be, what is the purpose of such a large SRV? Well, it's exactly what we've been calling for the past 4 months of this show, but a surface mining and extraction oriented SRV. We don't know how it exactly works yet, but if the Nomad was as useful and amazing as it has been for the um,
Exobiology.
for the overhauling of exobio, with how speeding up how fast that you can
Mm-hmm.
acquire your exobio,
Yeah.
scan data points, scraping that slime off a rock, speed it up faster than ever before. We are hoping that this is going to do the same for the raw
Yeah, the
surface material gathering,
geologicals, sure, yeah.
the geologicals, because that is nightmare fuel right now. That is such a painful, painful process to still farm, even with
Oh
like a
yeah.
rate buff, like selenium on brain trees, bro.
Ooh.
I can't. I
Like that,
did that
yeah.
recently
And they
again.
need a more pure source of that too, because
Yeah,
selenium
it
doesn't
is.
come by itself. It's always got 15 other things with it. And so you get like
Mhm.
one out of every 27 trees, you get a selenium. It sucks.
So we don't know how this works. I'm hoping that the way it works is kind of how we discussed in, I think I want to say it might have been last week's episode, where we were postulating that if they ever introduce something like this, it would maybe deploy like a drill, and within like an area
Yeah, we were
of
talking about
effect.
that with the Nomad. We were like, something like
Yeah.
that. Like, can it? We'd love it if it could do all that stuff, but they're splitting it up. Obviously, so they can make more money that way. So yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
give them jobs, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a
But
problem with that.
um, you know, let's see what they do.
Yeah, it's and I think what we're going to see primarily is the my guess is how this is going to work. It's going to deploy some kind of like drill, and then within an area of effect, it's going to auto harvest whatever materials are present.
One would hope.
Um, one would hope, or use a scanner on board that when you ping, it's going to highlight like, oh hey, this spot here will extract these materials. So
Oh man, now you're
then you
getting fancy. But they did get
I
pretty
hope
fancy
I'm
with the
not.
exobiology too. So.
Yeah, I'm just basing this off the Nomad. I mean, the Nomad
Yeah,
kind of does that for ExoBio. So, if that system already exists in game, they would just repurpose it, maybe even change the color from like
yeah,
green to orange, and like that's it. It works, right? Um,
exactly.
one of the coolest things before we get into the meat and potatoes of the article, I love this design. This is one of the best designs I have ever seen from the art team for anything. I actually like this more than Nomad. I like this more than even the Kestrel Mark II, and that's a sick ship. So this is easily one of the best looking designs I have ever seen on any single vehicle in Elite Dangerous
Pretty cool.
thus far. Um, because I think it perfectly encapsulates both the future tech aspect of it, like 1,000 years from now, but also um, like this venerable kind of workhorse aesthetic that it has to it, and it's very familiar. But you can also very visibly tell that I have a feeling it's the same manufacturer as the Nomad, because the cockpit very much looks like the Nomad's cockpit that it has,
Uh-huh.
which is a solid, platform to use to build a ground vehicle around. It's high visibility. It looks cool. Very much looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting driving something so high off the ground as well.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be sweet.
Uh, and one of the coolest features about it is that because it's such a chunky boy, it has to be hot dropped from your ship. So there's like obviously pictures on the official post from FDev that demonstrate a Type 11 literally dropping this massive behemoth of a vehicle onto a planetary surface. And I just think that there's just something about that. It's very cool. It's very visceral. I like it. I imagine it will extract via the same way, the same imaginary tractor beam that SRBs extract whenever you're, boarding your ship from the ground when it's floating in the air. So I imagine it's just going to work the same way.
Right.
But great design, love it. We've seen some ship kit, or I should say, SRB kit components already, and they look really cool in the concept art. I think it's just solid looking, man. It looks really, really good. I'm very impressed with that they included this. This is exactly what we needed in this game.
Now what's it gonna cost? It's gonna be another 60,000.
It better not be like that. Is they can't do that again. 60,000 arcs for something that is not a ship is unreal.
It seems like a
Mind
lot.
you, mind you, this does clearly look like there was more effort put into this than the Nomad, but even then, neither are worth 60,000. Like, I think the highest end point, in my opinion, that this should cost is maybe 45K on the Galactic package.
There's not
You
enough
should
tarps on it for my taste.
not enough tarps. You know, doesn't have that Lynx highliner treatment.
Yeah, it doesn't have that Lynx highlighter tarp.
So, yeah, it is.
Thank God they gave that
it.
away for free, because otherwise that would have been terrible.
Now, what I did like was that I've heard some very interesting theories kind of around this, and I'll let Fear kind of get into his own in a second. But one of the first, and this is a really positive kind of commentary to Chris and the design team over at FDev. But one of my favorite parts about what they've done with this is that they didn't have to adjust any stats or any parameters in the base game for all the material harvesting in it. Instead, they just introduced a new SRV into the game that can speed up that process. So it's kind of an ingenious decision on FDev's part to introduce something that, one, we would buy, right, early access them so they can make money. But two, it is speeding up that grind, that terrible grind and farm that exists for material farming, surface material farming and extraction that exists without this. So if this speeds that up by the same metric that the Nomad speeds up exobiology gathering, that's going to be huge. And then they wouldn't need to adjust the drop rates or the parameters in the code for the materials that exist on planets and what have you. They wouldn't need to adjust the drop rates, as it were, because you have this much more efficient means of like mass gathering and mass farming them. And for newer players coming into the game, this is what we call aspirational content, right, in the MMO. So when they're playing with they just entered the game, they have to kind of mine materials the old-fashioned way from like the little Scarab SRV. But then here comes like this player who's been around a little bit longer, and he's got this brand new Rhino upgraded, and he's just going through fields of materials, like, you know, gathering everything he needs, and finishing in an hour what probably would take anybody else 4 to 5. So this is why, like, I think this is a great idea. This is solving a gameplay issue with the inclusion of something that's an in-universe upgrade to a technological upgrade to anything that we've been using prior.
Right.
So yeah, it's very practical and very kind of like in-universe friendly. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's cool. Very cool.
It's very cool. I guess the next thing I also wanted to bring up in regards to design, possibly what we're looking at, Commander Andy Pipkin in my own squadron had a very interesting theory that he believes there might be some kind of plow for this, or as Fear also suggested, there might be a cargo scoop of some kind that might deploy from what appears to be a skid plate in the front, or even in the rear,
or maybe both,
or both.
Some kind of tractor beam system or something. I don't know.
It could also be a clamp of some sort that even deploys, but once it deploys, like, this thing would fold out. I think it's a very interesting theory. There appears to be what looks like a door on the side, but it very well could also be a leg, as we see in the screenshot, that folds out as some kind of stabilizing brace.
I almost think that's part of a tripod, to be honest.
That could be the case. Yeah, you might be right. It might deploy on either side. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. And then the front, like, lowers. It's a really good idea.
Well, if it is a drill that it's going to deploy, it would need a tripod. You know what I mean?
Would need it.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're going to be seeing more actual gameplay footage of this. I mean, come this week is what we were told. And if you're wondering when this is releasing, this will be releasing in the next 2 weeks, I believe, Fear?
Yeah, by the end of the month, they said.
End of the month. Yeah, so we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks then. Very fast turnaround. I like this.
Yeah.
This is great to see.
Totally. I got a surprise for you, too.
Oh, you do?
I think I figured out, you know, that one thing that you always ask for that we don't have yet?
I feel like there's a lot of things.
It's one
Uh,
specific thing that you definitely want, a kind of ship.
oh, a large, heavy combat ship. Oh, that'd be
I think I know how we're gonna get those.
how.
Well, you know operations, right?
Yep.
And the ones in space, especially the terminal
Mm-hmm.
prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to notice what the bosses drive?
Wasn't it Type 10s?
No,
What?
Anaconda.
Well, I swore I thought I saw a Type 10 on one of those missions, but
Well,
that's
maybe,
what's it.
but I'll tell you right now, nobody's going to care about a Type 10. But what they would care about is those bosses if they got some kind of an Anaconda 2 or Mark 2. And because they're going to make us at some point, they're going to make us a ship, but I think they're going to make it because for the bosses. Kind of like they did with the Kestrel. The Kestrel wasn't really for us. The Kestrel was really for having
Operations.
operations for the glaive. That's the new glaive, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, the bosses I believe are going to get a giant warship, and we'll probably be able to buy them as well. But that's what I think. That's when we're going to get the large combat ship is whenever they upgrade the bosses, because the bosses can't be flying around an old ship. When they got Kestrels and all the new ships in there too.
That's a good point. Yeah, because they already are utilizing in the random ship pool.
Yeah,
In operations, they do pull from all the new ships now. A lot of Python Mark IIs in the field. I've seen
yeah.
Corsairs, Cobra Mark Fives.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. Yeah, if they did upgrade, if they did introduce a new next generation large combat vessel, or even like a Mark II variant, that would probably be the new boss ships for operations.
They would, and I think that makes sense. And it's also like then they can introduce it, and they'll have a reason. Because otherwise, we're going to have to wait till there's another war, and God knows when they're going to do that again. So an actual war against
Mhm.
some other, but they want to make a ship that's not tied to the Federation or the Imperials, and the Anaconda is already that. Now they're going to have to give that. The new Anaconda would have to have different powers than the original, where it'd have to have a good firing spread. Obviously, it would have to, it might have to have a little bit different body style. It may still be long, but it might have they might put the Corvette Heine on it or something, or you know what I mean.
Mhm.
There's something. They might put some wings on it. They might do a whole bunch of things, but to make it, but they're not going to want it to be federal or imperial. So I'm thinking. Well, we were playing the other day, right? We had this event on Wednesday, and we
Mhm.
went out and we were playing, and I was looking at the bosses, and I was thinking, wait a minute, why are they flying anacondas? I was like, because I think that's because whatever they want to put in place is probably going to be very similar and probably fly very similar. And because the Corvette obviously is a lot slower, the Imperial cutter is a lot more fast, speedy, right? So if they come up with and an Anaconda is kind of a middle ground workhorse, it's fast, but it's not as fast, and then, but maybe they'll make one that's like more powerful because they need one that's pretty powerful for operations, right? Because they're boss ships, so yeah, it should be pretty hefty, and it might even have some different weapons, kind of like the Kestrel, you know, where people are like, oh, they're firing crazy weapons. I said, yeah, you can get those too. we, they gave us the whole Kestrel, but it's just, for us, you know, fixed weapons are not always our favorite, and some people love fixed. My team is like, meh, they could live without them. We're kind of a little more laid back, a little more. Let's not spend too much time aiming at stuff. Let's let the gimbal take its so they might come out with a new one that's got fixed, some kind of crazy fixed weapons on it. That may be something new or different, or maybe it has one. It has the guns of the vet. Because the Imperial one has one. It has
One
one
if it was
big
the
gun,
Anaconda.
but there's nothing that beats two big guns on the top. That's just fun stuff all day. Uh,
Yeah, I think if they did like an Anaconda Mark II, I would like a dorsal mounted, class four, maybe a class four also on the underside as well. So,
yeah, they need to make
it
it
would be
so it's
nice.
not going to be. They don't. I don't think they want to have it turn into a Jumpaconda like they did with the last one. But
Well, they did it with the Python, right? So the Python Mark II, they turned into a dedicated combat vessel, and it's not a utilitarian vessel. The Corsair
yeah,
is actually more of a spiritual successor to the Python Mark I than the Python Mark II is, and I think that's fine. You might even see that with the Anaconda. Like if they did an Anaconda Mark II, as you said, it could be a dedicated combat craft, and it has a pedigree. It's an old classic ship.
yeah,
And we've seen it with the Kestrel Mark II, right? They're bringing back a lot of older ships from like Frontier One, Frontier Two. So if they do that, we could even see like something completely new again, or I should say, something that isn't already present in the game.
yeah. No, I think
Um,
that. I think I feel like that's where they're gonna go. I could
yeah.
see it. I could just go. I just
Mhm,
when I was watching those bosses, I was like, hey, wait a minute. They have
mhm,
kestrels and all this stuff, and the kestrels are in the operations. A bunch of the new stuff's in the operations,
mhm.
and but the bosses are flying around anacondas, so they're gonna have to. They got to tune those bosses up, and of course we're all gonna get the same ship, so we can pummel the boss with it. But obviously, the boss is a little bit tougher. Um, that's the only. I mean, that's pretty much the fun of the whole thing is getting to the end where the boss is there and we're just pummeling him, and then all his buddies are trying to jack us up,
Mhm.
and they get us, they can get us into trouble if it wasn't if they didn't have such a great healer on their team, they probably could get in trouble pretty easily.
Yeah, it's I definitely think that it would be great to actually have a we really do need the next gen large combat vessel. Um Ideally two at the very least. Right now we have a lot of options with the Imperial Cutter, the Federal Corvette, the Anaconda. They would
Y-
have to, at least in my opinion, kind of like offer like one more. You
Yeah,
can maybe make an argument that the Caspian is a kind of like soft spiritual successor to the Anaconda that currently exists. So they would need just two more dedicated, um,
if,
large combat vessels, in my
if they
opinion.
come out with one more exploration ship before a combat ship, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah,
You're gonna
they
have
can't
to
do that.
you're gonna have to peel me off the ceiling with a spatula.
Yeah,
That's
they
where I'm
can't get
gonna
below
be.
us.
Kitty cat will be like, "What in the hell just happened there, human? I need my food." And I'll be like, "You're gonna have to get me down off the ceiling."
Yeah, it's
Yep, that's what I think. That's what I think. That's my prediction of the prediction of the week.
I think we're reaching that point. I mean,
Uh,
we're supposed to have one more new ship, I think, this year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no. Well,
Was it autumn? I think that's when the new
yeah.
ship's supposed
There's
to be
two
arriving.
more. I think there's two more after this one that's coming out now.
Yeah, let me check the roadmap here real quick.
Because
Oh,
Nomad just came out. Then yeah. So yeah, I think we got two more. And one of them better be not an explorer ship, or I'm gonna lose my whole entire poo.
so summer we have two redacted vessels for phase three that are dropping.
And one of them I
We
think
already
was a
had
Nomad.
operation. Yeah, we already had operations in the Nomad, um, which came out before in phase two, and then in like autumn we're supposed to be getting a feature reboot, which is likely the BGS, and another redacted vessel, and then another redacted vessel in winter. I think winter is going to be the new ship.
Well, they've been messing with us long enough. They need to give us
Mhm.
something. They need to give us something to play with for 3 months while they're on vacation.
Agreed.
So
It's
yeah,
yeah,
and hopefully they'll come
this
out with more operate because there is an operation coming out for the Rhino, right? Or along with the Rhino, which will probably be for the Rhino. It'll probably be some sort of a mining. There is a mining operation coming out.
there is supposed to be a mining operation. They spoke in the beginning that operations as the mode was going to be getting mining operations for extraction operations, and also
Mm-hmm.
I think they also mentioned exobio at some point, if I recall the old interview. I don't know how true that will remain, but they did absolutely state mining and surface extraction.
Yeah, and that the even though I'm not a big fan of having operations in Elite, it does help them introduce things like new ships in a more controlled environment, so that they can actually see what it does without the player base trying to screw each other over the whole time. You know how they they'll go in there and they'll fart with the BGS and close the stations down, or they'll throw poo on them, or they'll take Thargoid stuff and throw that in there, just to like break the CG. So it is easier for them to monitor instances of operations that people join for special whatever. Maybe they get more red credits or whatever, or the merc coins or whatever, and whatever it is, I don't know what it's going to be, but I think that it's a great way for them to introduce stuff and also be able to, because they're obviously not going to go back to the old way of beta testing everything in house or having their own Q&A. They obviously are not going there again, because they used to do all that. They used to put things in beta for a lot longer, and they let all the partners and other people go in there and play with stuff. Now, the partners do okay. They take care of like the high end stuff, like the window it's got a squeak in it or something. They'll find stuff like that, or maybe maybe the graphics are off, or the door doesn't open right. They'll find certain things. It doesn't land right. It doesn't sit right. They'll find all kinds of that kind of thing, but they don't do the whole full on beta testing. But once they give it to the player base, they put it in an operation, then they can monitor those, and they're not, like I said, they're not subject to as many random encounter. You know what I mean? Like things that will come up during those that they didn't account for. They want to see what the ship does, but then somebody will go shut down the whole CG, and then nothing happens. It's like, okay, or something breaks, or whatever. At least on an operation, they can control the narrative better, I think, is what where they're going with that. And so I know that this Rhino is going to have a CG for it, so that people can buy it and try it, and then they can also go out into the real world and utilize it too. But as far as their testing phase, it'll be controlled, and that'll be better for them to get a better feel of what's going on and things they need to fix quickly, and things that they can take more time to fix or whatever will come up better, I think, in an operation.
Yeah, it is. I think we have good things on the horizon for operations, better things. There are still some extreme balances that I think need to be adjusted, especially for solo players. Most of the operations are still kind of in a weird state.
Yeah,
Weird
I'd still like to
bugs,
see them
weird
open that
pathing.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, weird pathing, especially for a lot of the on-foot AI segments.
Oh yeah, the AI is just doesn't work right. I don't like the way the characters move. I don't like the
Yeah,
way the AI reacts to stuff. I don't like when they spin around on one foot. I don't. There's a lot of things
it
that
looks very
drive me crazy.
goofy.
Yeah, it's
Goofy.
not clean enough. But I also like to see, like, we already have crew members that we can have on our ships.
Mhm,
I would love that if we could make the crew members into the operations pilots, so you could have,
mhm.
and you could pick their ships, or they could pick their ships, or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is. But just so you don't have to always, getting in Elite, it's, we have wads and all that, and guilds and stuff like that. But man, sometimes, a lot of these people, like especially in my group, they're all working people. They all work, they have families, they have
Yes.
kids, they have all kinds of stuff going on, and they can't be ready at a moment's notice. Oh, hey, let's go do opera. you know we had one successful day where we were able to do it on a Wednesday, but even with that, there were still some things that there was people that weren't ready. There were people, it was too early for some people, it was too late for some, what I mean? So it was it gets, it still has a lot of issues. It's not always easy to line everybody up and get them to go. And I still I don't know how the pug groups are doing now, but the last time I looked, they weren't doing great. Um, where the pickup groups, the finding a mission to go on with other people. I mean, they do exist, but I would like to see that much more involved. And we don't even know, did they even fix any of this stuff yet? We're not even sure what's going on.
Nope. There's been no patches yet to address any of the ongoing issues we have, especially with like the birding rescue missions. Anything that involves like the birding station.
Yeah.
Those aren't even functioning correctly.
Yeah.
half the time.
So yeah, they put out this number in their dev log,
Mhm.
about how many were launched, how many were successful. Well, it's like half of them didn't even work. So, I mean, it's great
Mhm.
that people tried them, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I want that mode to work
yeah, I
because
want it
those
to
are my
work too.
favorite. I want that to be my favorite type of mission and play it the most. But
Yeah.
I mean, you can in its current state, and it's funny because I think what was the number one mission type was biohazard takedown, the
Yeah, the
easiest,
one, yeah,
the easiest
the
mission
one, yeah,
course.
the less, everybody's always going to pick the least path of least resistance, man.
Of course,
So
what a
I mean, our
and
favorite
man,
one
what
is,
a
yeah, we do
grind! Yeah,
that one and we do the terminal prosecution. That's it. That's
criminal
all.
prosecution.
Terminal prosecution is awesome. I mean,
It's fun, very fun. Yeah.
it just reminds me of invasions from Thargoid times, and that to me kind of, and everybody, we're good at it. That's one thing we're really good at, is doing group missions where we have targets, we go after the targets at, one at a time. We get to the boss, we go after that. The only difference is, like, the Thargoid ones, we had to have a way to repair, like a station to land on to repair, where they don't have that currently uh,
Well,
in operations.
technically you have the frontline runner, so technically.
Yeah, I think it's just too far. You know what I mean? It's kind of far away though. It's got to be in the system with, where the thing is that we're protecting. You have to
What's
jump
so f-
out to go
yeah,
to it, and it's not as, you know what I mean? It's not cool. It needs to be in the system with us so we can just go
what
to it, jump on it, repair, get back off, and come
mhm,
right back in. We don't want to be sitting there going through jumping, and you have to slow down and da, 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 you know what I mean? And or
mhm.
yeah, it's no, yeah, it's not quite there yet. But I think over time they'll figure it out, or maybe they'll put Thargoid stuff back, and that would even be better. My guys would be like over the moon happy, because that's the one thing they really miss. I mean, California Nebula is great and all, but it's a pain in the butt because it's far away, and
Mhm.
we have to take carriers out there and get in here again, trying to wrangle the cats. Hey, we're all going out there on Friday, and then everybody's like, some guys show up on Thursday going, where's everybody? And some guys show up on Saturday going, hey, where did you guys go home already? Yep, we went home. We went in, did our thing, and went back home, made our billions, and went back home. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I do really hope we can see some updates coming to some of those modes. As stated, like things like tactical takedown are kind of like in a weird, messy state, and
Yeah,
all the burning station rescue.
right.
And I really want those missions to be kind of in a better state. Solo is in a weird place right now because the game does not scale to players. So
Yeah, that needs to
if
really
you're
be worked on.
yeah, it's if you're doing 2-man like Biohazard, it's the same as doing 4-man Biohazard,
Yeah, it's just
and
you get pummeled in the head a lot. So,
it's a
and,
lot of risk running. Yeah, is what it ends up devolving
yeah,
into. It's just
and at least when you die, it doesn't cost you anything or whatever. But still,
mhm,
it's too annoying. They should make it to where it's like engaging and fun, not just hard. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we want it to be engaging, but we don't want to, like, we don't want to make it to where we can't complete it. You know what I mean? So, and the people that do try it, I'm assuming, I know there's people that do it solo. There's probably at least three guys that do it solo. That's
mhm.
great. And there's some guys that get a mission, that get a pug group every single time they play. I knew I was going to get that comment. I don't know what you're talking about. I go in every day. I go in and I get millions of people. It's like, come on, dude. You know, Like,
Yeah, I've heard that
okay,
too. I
yeah,
think some people were telling me the same, and I'm like, yeah, I don't.
okay,
I don't know what players are talking about
yeah,
because
they're
so
yeah,
I went on like right now I am looking at a peak Friday evening hours, and there is one game in open that's up.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
nobody.
these guys are just, like I said, be against all odds. There's certain players that can just play it all day and night, and it's fun as hell. And I'm going,
Yeah,
wow, man. I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm not saying that they're lying, but I don't know. I think some of that's a little bit of a fib, like a
yeah,
fib.
I think a little bit it's a fib. On Fleecom 30 minutes ago, I had two rooms up, and both only had about 2 to 3 players, not even full teams present within them.
Yeah.
So this is not a particularly active mode
I
of the
mean, I
game
don't know. Maybe there's a
that I've
different
seen.
time of the day. Maybe in the
I don't know.
daytime in the UK. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. But I like I said, I talk for the majority. I don't speak for the one guy that's doing amazing and getting 16, missions a day and all that. God bless him, but I just don't see it. And
I think
so,
chances
yeah,
are, I think you're right. I think most players are either soloing this, or they're playing it in private group sessions, or they're playing it in private teams that we have the option selected to not have it listed publicly. That might be where most games are,
maybe,
but
maybe, yeah.
that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, we should be able to see
No,
large numbers of like, just
yeah.
lists of queue people trying to queue into something. And if you don't see that, that
I mean,
means
yeah, I don't
not
know
many people
because
playing it.
we've been able to play with each other no matter what group we're in. So
We have been, yeah,
somebody's in open, somebody's in private, somebody's in solo. We've been
yeah,
able to still do operations. So I don't
yep.
know all the ins and outs, but I'm sure that there's something going on. Maybe there are still some really large private groups that do well with it. I don't know. I haven't heard of such a thing yet, but it's possible I might now that we brought it up. Somebody always would love to just prove me wrong. And you know how hard that is?
Yeah, this is
Uh,
like it
uh,
is. As stated, man. Like I want operations to be better,
I do. I
but
do
it's
too.
it's got to have rewards, and you got to fix like
Well,
half of the
yeah,
ones
the
that have
progression
missions not
cannot
fixed.
end. If the progression ends, the game ends. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got to be more than credits. And I mean, credits and materials are nice. Don't get me wrong, but the merc coins, stuff like that, all that eventually ends because you can only buy so much stuff with the merc coins, right? So we need something that's progressively continues to go on going forward. You know what I mean? Just to continue to keep us interested. Maybe we'll try new. I mean, if we were getting materials for weapons and armor and stuff like that, we might be interested in building multiple armor and weapon suit configurations. But the way that they do it now, it's a nightmare, and I can't do it. I've tried like 15 times, and I'm just not down with how they do the upgrading or the engineering on suits and weapons. It's just too much. It's just,
it is.
I mean, yeah, I could do a ship, with one eye tied behind my head, but the when you get to the suits and the weapons, it's just like no. And there's just too much stuff, and they give you junk too now, and it's like, oh god, no. They give you stuff that you don't even need, and it's like, what the and the management of the materials is not fun. It's very difficult to manage that material. And if you get into a situation where you have more materials than you're supposed to have, it screws up the whole. We've had that several times where people have had. It says we have 1,000, but we really have like 1,500, or something like that, and you don't even know it until you start selling. You have to start selling off all these materials, and you can trade them with each other, but it's a very private trading. You can't like announce it on the in the marketplace like, hey, we've got some of these, you guys need these, come buy them, whatever. You don't see that. Now you can sell stuff, right? But it doesn't show up like when you're on an R or anywhere that I know of, where you can like see who's got materials and go to their carrier and go buy it or whatever like that. You if you knew the guy, he could tell you, yeah, I've got the prognosticators, I got a whole bunch. You want to buy some? But that's it. And so it's really difficult to even, trade these things or help other players get to that, that place where they're upgrading and they don't have to go visit the stupid engineers because nobody likes that. That's why a lot of people don't put specials on stuff because they don't want to have to go to the engineer. Even though it's so much easier now to get to the engineer, they still don't like it. That you can't just pin that to, or you can't just phone it in, or whatever on a kiosk. There's a lot to unpack with that. And that's all I got.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I mean, we'll have to see. Right on the roadmap, I don't think it mentions anything about operations in the roadmap. It just mentions the feature reboot. So,
Well, they've been
I
sneaking
guess
a lot of stuff in. They didn't mention they didn't mention the
the
new mining
Highliner. Yeah.
stuff and the highline. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff they didn't really
Well,
mention.
they mentioned the vessel we were getting, but like
Yeah.
they didn't say what.
Yeah,
but in the
but
case
it
of
also
operations, it's
came
not on the
with.
roadmap.
Well, yeah, but that was made specifically for operations, and then
That's true.
so
Yeah.
was the Kestrel, so was the everything has been kind of around operations. So, and now we've got a new operation coming. That's not on the roadmap, right?
Yeah, that's actually coming with the
with another vessel.
the new SR. No, with the
Yeah.
new with the Rhino.
Yeah,
With the Rhino, it's
with the
coming
new
that
vessel.
operation.
Yeah, you
So,
betcha.
so yeah, we should probably expect maybe a new operation per vessel
That's what I
on the
think they
roadmap.
want to
Might
do.
be good.
That's what I
Yeah.
said. I think it'll help them with like figuring things out a little bit better without, like I said, the unexpected
Mhm.
people, killing the events or doing whatever they do. I don't know why people do all that, but that's their thing. Whatever. God bless them. But get out of my face.
So now that we've kind of gotten a lot of that out of the way, I guess I wanted to kind of go over specifically what Frontier had to say about obviously their own all of our speculation and kind of cryptic, guessing on the esoterica of the vessel. Let's kind of go through the very quick blurb that Frontier officially put out across every platform. And I gotta say, as always, Frontier, thank you for updating Steam before anything else. Like it's great. This was communicated correctly, right? So they put the update on the Rhino on the Steam community page. So when I opened up Steam and I clicked Elite Dangerous in my library, bam, right in front of my face.
Nice.
And they put it on Twitter, and they put it on the launcher, and they put it on the Epic launcher. They put it on everything at the same time.
You
roughly
shut
the same
your
time.
mouth.
That is how it should be. And so you couldn't open up Steam and not see this. You couldn't open up the game and not see this. You couldn't.
I can't believe it.
Like,
how'd this happen?
it's crazy. It's crazy. But this is correct communication of a major update. Honestly, this is how every major update, any new content should be communicated like this. So
I think they should tell us when they're going potty on the Steam page, but
that'd be good too. That'd be good too.
Yeah, we want to know when they're eating lunch, so we can wait an hour before we start bitching.
So exactly. So to kind of go through the post real quick. Greetings, commanders. You may have seen last week's cryptic tease of the next new vessel coming to Elite Dangerous. We're delighted to reveal that the Rhino will be arriving at shipyards later this month, bringing with it a brand new way to extract planetary riches. Let's gear up ahead of the surface for a first look, alongside art director Chris Gregory's commentary. So the Rhino is a colossal SRV built to, and this is not my word, this is theirs, conquer planetary surfaces and claim a world spoils. Why do they
love it?
That's just a mining vessel, guys. Heavily armored, this
it's gonna conquer.
Yeah, it's gonna conquer. It's gonna claim a world spoil. So,
oh yeah, that sounds so hot.
Heavily armored, this Goliath is a sturdy and reliable transport built to withstand the rigors of enemy attention. So there's a lot of usage, and I haven't seen a lot of people comment and talk about this yet, but there's a lot of usage and language built around the fact that this is coming under enemy fire, and it's going to be in like hot conflict zones. So we will see like what armaments this may carry, or if this even, or how. If it has shields, if it can protect itself, like how is this working? So Chris, the art director stated that it's been a while, so it was great to get back on six wheels again. There's something very
Yeah,
satisfyingly tactile about
I
creating an
love
SRV.
I love six-wheeled
Yeah.
vehicles. That's cool. So
And the way it interacts with the planetary terrain. There are lots of smaller considerations we have to make. The suspension, the dust on the tires, and a very fun driving model all play a part in making them feel very different behind the controls in a ship. As many of you guessed from last week's teaser, the Rhino's main function is one which is brand new to Elite Dangerous: surface mining. Chris goes on to state that surface mining will be a great new experience for commanders, and the design philosophy behind the Rhino was engineered with this new task in mind. We wanted it to feel deeply rooted in being a utility vehicle, armored to protect it from the eyes of those seeking an easy payday. We'll be
huh.
sharing more about surface mining soon, but this is a new way of
Mm,
acquiring
mm,
raw materials. So there you go,
mm.
right there, guys. So if you wanted
Raw.
confirmation on what this is doing, it is a new way of acquiring raw materials around geological sites on a
Mm,
planetary surface.
mm,
Now,
mm.
will this also mean that it will be used to acquire raw materials from things like crystalline shards or Braintree forests? Those are also often near what we will call geological sites. So,
Yeah,
if so,
I
thank
hope
you.
that they let us get the level 4 and 5 stuff. That's
Yeah, I really hope. Yeah, that's
because
kind of
all that
important.
other stuff. Nobody wants to
I
farm
don't need iron.
everything when you can just farm
Yeah,
the one. You know what I mean? You can farm. What is it? 10 things instead of
and break it down. Yep.
100 because each row has like I don't know what is it 6 7 8 9 I don't know whatever it is across, and then down there's like 10 down, and like each row has like 7 across or whatever that you
Hmm.
trade. And nobody really cares about any trading except for the trading down from the biggest thing. You can fill up everything else in 2 loads of the big thing. So you know what I
Yes.
mean? So, if that made sense, what I just said, but you can fill up all the little guys from the big guys. Like 2 loads can literally, you could be completely full of all materials, which is what we want. Um, some people insist, I used to make them crazy. I'd make Kinger and them crazy because I would only get the materials I needed.
Hmm.
Why don't you fill them all up? It's because it takes too long, dude. I ain't got, I ain't got 3 days. I got 2 hours. I gotta hurry up. I gotta build this ship. Those Thargoids ain't gonna kill themselves.
Hmm.
I need more bombers.
It would have been, I gotta be real, man. If this ends up having like big guns and a lot of armor and thick shields, this would have been really good during the Thargoid War
Yeah,
or
yeah,
those spire sites. And also, it has three commanders can fit in the bridge of this,
yeah,
so it's kind of like a pseudo transport of sorts.
yeah. Right.
I mean, it's kind of
Yeah, because everybody
interesting
can
all the
jump
cool things
out
it's
and
doing.
start killing everything
Hmm.
if things get a little bit too
Yeah, yeah.
too sticky. So yeah.
So, but kind of continue on with Chris's
Sorry.
commentary.
Go ahead.
Surface mining will be a great new experience for commanders, and the design philosophy behind the Rhino was engineered with two tasks in mind. We wanted it to feel deeply rooted in being a utility vehicle, but armored to protect it from the eyes of those seeking an easy payday. And but this is we'll be sharing more about the surface mining aspect soon. But this is a new way of acquiring raw materials around geological sites on the planetary surface. Keep an eye out for the next devlog for some more details on how all this works beneath the surface.
Hmm.
The Rhino marks the single largest SRV which a commander can deploy from their ship. However, all that size is a requirement for the tech which this rugged workhorse is packing.
Of course.
Uh, Chris comments that after the all purpose Scarab and the combat leaning Scorpion, the Rhino is an SRV built for mining, and as such, it's a much larger vehicle. So big, in fact, that it cannot be deployed through the regular cargo hatch
Mm,
like the
mm,
other
mm.
SRVs. Instead, the Rhino is dropped from the new vehicle bay.
Hmm.
The Rhino's cockpit also has seats for 3 commanders, but the rest of its interior space is entirely needed to store the materials it gathers and its equipment. So, unlike the Nomad, there is no accessible interior space. But as far as what that equipment might be, You'll have to discover for
I'm
yourselves.
hoping that they allow it to have other attachments later. Yeah, that'd be great. You know, where maybe one of the attachments is guns. Maybe it comes with guns. We don't know yet. But you know, maybe you can get a big giant gun and stick it on the top and just go kill stuff. I don't know, but you know, I'm hoping that they do have it. I mean, I think in some ways it'd be silly if they made it only do one job, but at the same time, I know that you know, money wise, they'd prefer that we just, you know, have a whole fleet of them and just take out the ones we need when we need them or whatever. But I don't know.
They and as a reminder, it is coming out later this month in early ARX access. So
No, of course.
no price point has been revealed yet, but we do have confirmation it will be there for raw material mining, and also you know, we'll be getting
Dan. Dan.
yes,
Hook
yes,
a brother up, man. Come on. You guys are killing me
yes.
with all this $60 I got, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Towards the
hopefully
$30,
Dan's
$40.
listening. You gotta chill on the RX price of these things. As cool as these SRVs are, as cool as a lot of the effort and design goes into them, they are not starships. Okay, they should not be comparable in pricing to starships. Personally, I don't think these things should be going above 30 to 45,000 on the Galactic package. You know, they need to be like kind of half of what they are, minimum.
Well,
you know,
or at least give us some freaking options instead of like selling us this thing and then going, oh, and here's, you know, 2 weeks later, oh, here's all the cool stuff that goes with it, and then you got to spend more money. That just gets my blood boiling when that happens. So they did that with the Nomad. They came out with a bunch of cool stuff after they sold us the package, the only package we thought we were going to have for a while. And it's like a week later, hey, by the way, if you didn't like that first package, here's some more for only 15,000, 16,000 a piece. It's fine. It'll be fine. It's fine. Yeah.
I guess we're just gonna have to see what FDev has in store for our wallets.
Yeah, that we are the wallet. That's what they think we're a walking wallet. It's like, come on, man. Things are tight.
But I gotta say, I am looking forward to hot dropping the new Rhino SRB onto you know, mining sites under fire. That should be interesting as a cinematic experience.
I'm gonna drop mine right onto King of North spaceship and run over it.
But the design looks great. We actually got to see a few what appear to be ship kits, or I should say vessel kits, for the SRV in some of the concept art that they've showcased. We see what appears to be a spoiler, some hazard kit lights and bars, the usual stuff you come to expect. But it all looks good. They look very form fitted. I love the floodlights. They look fantastic. I think they did a really good job this time with the design of the like aesthetic decorative kits on this SRV. Yeah, liking it. Great job. It's going to be launching in ARX Early Access later this month, alongside the first brand new operation. So we will simply have to see.
We shall see. All right. Do we have anything else?
No, that is effectively it. It was pretty dense today, talking about the Rhino, but yeah.
Hey man, that really, let's be fair. It's the only thing anybody cares about right now.
Kind of is.
The Colonia event was a bust. They're like, oh, we'll update you when and if there's anything to say. And we're like, what do you mean when or if? You made me fly 22,000 light years and all I got was this lousy t-shirt? You know, it's like, oh God, okay. Yeah, I'm not falling for that again.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I can't say I'm really disappointed in the Colonia event because I knew this was going to happen.
Well, I
at least
knew
got
too,
my racks.
You know, I still have hopium.
But yeah, man, I mean, like, not even system colonization not enabled, no power, like no modernization of those that location.
Yeah, it's bad.
To bring it up to date.
It's like visiting an old junkyard. Like,
it really is.
No jacks, no avatar for jacks. That's annoying. You know, 10 years. You guys should have come up with something for that. All the large players in the all the superpowers and everything should all have avatars in the game. I don't understand why they won't just make them.
Yeah, So weird. It is so weird that he doesn't have an in-game avatar
Because
yet.
you already know everybody would be over at the princess's palace, like trying to check out her feet and stuff. And it's just crazy. Buying her bath water. It would be amazing. They could just have one where she's in the bathtub. And they could walk up and they could buy the bath water right there. Ka-ching, ka-ching. You know how much money you can make out of that?
Poor blue princess, you know, like
Oh,
Fear
man.
has devolved her into an e-girl.
I didn't do it. No, I was like maybe the fifth one that did it. There was a lot of other creators that called her that before I did. Even Galnet News Digest called her. They called her Belle Delphine before I even.
I was gonna make
started
a
going
Belle
crazy.
Delphine comment, but I
Yeah.
didn't know how appropriate it was.
No, I brought it up, and I said it in the comments. I said that's funny that you're comparing her to Belle Delphine, and they laughed.
It's
They
tough.
chuckled.
It's tough.
They knew that. I don't think they expected me to catch on to that, but they did. I did. I don't know how many other people did, but I'm assuming some people.
It's tough for the princess stands out there, but I'm an
Yeah.
ALD man, so
I'm
it is what
ALD
it is.
as well. So, all right. Do you have any shout outs you want to give? And we'll wrap this up.
Shout out to the usual suspects. So shout out to the Children of Raxo. Shout out to Core. Shout out to Vortex Squadron.
Oh yeah, I love those guys.
Yeah, shout out to a new inductee into Core, Commander Spalupi. Good to see you got in, buddy. But otherwise, yeah, that's kind of it at the moment.
Alrighty, and I say the same, Commanders. We do appreciate you listening to our second monitor content. If you didn't realize by now, it's specifically designed for you to go on your second monitor whilst you're playing your game, your Elite Dangerous. And we try to come on every week. As long as we got something to say, we'll be here. If we ain't got nothing to say, we won't. But mostly we do. So we hope to see you guys every single time we do a show. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that kind of thing. Share it with your friends so we can get out there a little bit, you know, maybe get a little bit noticed from the community. That'd be great. Until next time, Commanders, 07.
07 Commanders.
Alrighty.